Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is episode 4 of Python for AI series. I'm Mahesh. In this episode, we'll be installing Python and learn how to execute Python in different environments, both in real time as well as how do you practice as well, right? So we'll also explore how Python is used or how you'll be creating a development environment in different domains, like if in case if you're a web developer, how you'll be creating an environment, or for data science domain, if you're learning data science, what and all tools you'll be using, how to set up the environment. We're gonna see by end of this episode you'll have your Python installed readily and you'll be able to execute Python code easily in different environments. So let's get started. So the first step is installing Python. So the official website of Python is, see, observe, listen carefully. There is only one official website, that is www.python.org. So there is only one website. Please do not download from any other websites. I'll be giving these links in the description. Fine. So now let me just open the browser. So I'm gonna enter here dot python dot org, right? Just enter. So once I enter this URL, I'll be getting this result. Just click on this first link. You'll be getting the official website of Python. So here, in order to download Python, so what you have to do, you have to just navigate to this downloads section. So by default, it selects the latest version for Windows. Fine, you can just see 3.13.1. If you want to download the latest version, just click on this icon. I'm going to click on this icon. I'm going to select the path to download. I'll just save it. So it is going to download. It has saved, right? So next, what you have to do, in order to start installation, you have to just move to the right. So you can see the Python is installed. Just double click on this Python installer, right? So you'll be getting this pop-up. Fine. So the very important thing is, please make sure, right? The first thing on your screen, you'll be getting this pop-up. So make sure to check the box. Which box? This checkbox. Add python.exe to path. Right? This is very important step. It allows you to run Python and pip, that is Python package installer, from command line without specifying their full directory path, right? Fine. So once you just click on this checkbox, make sure this is very important step. It is compulsory. Fine, because it cuts down, or like I can just tell, it saves a lot of time for you as well, right? Then just click on install now, right? So if you want to install a customized Python, right, click on this customize installation. If you need to configure advanced settings, right, like changing installation directory and enabling some optional features, right, for all users, giving some admin privileges, so all those things. So otherwise you can just click on the back, just click on install now. So what happens is the installer will now copy files to your system and set up the Python. The installation may take few minutes depending upon your system configuration. So once installation is complete, you'll see a screen saying setup was successful. So if you're getting this, you can just close the installer. So it is taking some time. So once you get this setup was successful, you can just click on the close, right? So Python installed successfully. So in order to verify this Python installation, to make sure the Python has been installed successfully, open the command prompt. So in order to open the command prompt, just click on your Windows icon, simply just type cmd, open the command prompt, right? Then next, simply just type Python. space hyphen hyphen version. Right. So I think the command is not right. So let me just type. Okay, let me just switch off the caps lock. Python, enter. So once you enter this Python command, you should be getting this Python along with its version, right? So the latest version is Python 12.7. So that was the version I installed. Okay, fine. So once you're getting this, then your Python is installed properly. So it is, you can just use Python anywhere from your system, right? And again, if you want to install, sorry, if you want to check whether pip is installed properly or not, just type this pip. So once you just type pip, you should be getting this. If you're getting this result, then pip is installed properly. You should not be getting any error like Python is not recognized as an internal command, something like that. If you're getting any error, please go back to the or uninstall Python and just start to install Python. Make sure that you check on the add python .exe to path, that checkbox, so that you won't be getting any error, right? Suppose if you missed to add Python to the path, right? If you just forgot to click on the checkbox, so you can just always manually add Python to the path, like taking the Python path from the installed location and opening the environment variable, as well as just create a new path to the environment variable. So I'll try to cover that in a separate video, dedicated video. So yeah, so move on to the next topic. Fine. If you're using other operating system, just click on this window downloads icon. We'll be looking for Python with different OS. So Windows we are having by default. So if you are having Linux, Mac OS, all those things, you can just install. For example, if you're a Mac user, right? So you can just download the installer and follow the installation prompt, like click on yes, yes, yes. If you prefer, for example, if you wanted to download through the command prompt, so like homebrew, right? So just start running the homebrew and just type brew install Python. So it installs by default. If you're a Linux user, right? So what you have to do, you have to just see, basically when it comes to Linux, right, Python will be coming pre-installed. If not, you can install it using your package manager as well in Linux. Fine. So you have to just enter two commands. So the two commands are this. So let me just write for Mac as well as Linux users as well. So by default, you'll be getting in Linux. If you don't have Python pre-installed in Linux operating system, you can just enter this command in the terminal. Right? So the Python will start to install in your Linux operating system. So same thing, in order to verify, right? In order to verify, follow the same steps. Open the command prompt, just type Python. Open the what I can tell, terminal in the Linux OS and just type Python. So now we'll explore different development environments that we can use for Python programming to start writing the code. So this include something like IDEs, integrated development environments, ideally integrated development learning environment, and other platform for coding. So I'll explain what they are, how to set them up, and when to use each one, right? So you'll be having something like IDE. integrated development environment. There is something like integrated development learning environment. So basically an IDE is like a box of tools designed for software development. It must have a source code editor, right, and a debugger, as well as it will be having something like code suggestion tools. It helps developers to write the program, test the application like scripts, as well as debug the code, and it is more useful, whereas we can just tell it is more efficient for the developers. So most of the popular IDEs will have these things. Let me just write. Fine. So most of the IDEs will be having the code editor, debugger, integrated terminal, as well as version control systems and project management. Fine. So let me just explain one by one. So a text editor that provides a syntax highlighting as well as auto completion. So I can just tell here we'll be having syntax editors, auto completion, as well as error checking as well. So before executing the code, you can just get the error as well. Like what I can tell, syntax errors, this can be identified easily. So when it comes to debugger, so this helps to check step-by-step execution of code to find any bugs in the program. And when it comes to integrated terminal, so this runs the code without requiring to switch to a separate terminal or a command prompt. It is not required for you to open a new command prompt. By default, you'll be having a dedicated integrated terminal in the IDE. And there is very important thing, some IDEs provide built-in support for Git or other version control system. For example, if I write a program today, then I modify it by tomorrow and saved it, right? But if I wanted the old code, I can fetch it if this feature is available, right? If in case, just imagine I want to fetch the old code, not able to fetch because it is saved means the old version is gone, right? I hope you know the importance of this feature, right? So this thing, version control, I'll be having multiple versions of my code as well. And project management, this helps like organizing files, resources and dependencies for your project. Suppose I might be working on multiple projects, right? So I can just switch between two projects and manage different types of projects at the same time. It can be possible, right? So what are the examples for IDEs, right? So here are the few examples for IDEs. Very famous. So there are like a huge number of editors are there. Very important as well as popular one are PyCharm. I can install PyCharm, as well as VS Code and Spider, right? See, PyCharm is one of the most widely used IDE for Python. Why? Because PyCharm is designed for Python, right? So it is having two versions. One is community version and one is paid professional version. So community version is more than sufficient for learning as well as for development as well, right? See, the specialty of this PyCharm is it is specifically designed for Python, and it is having a huge number of built-in libraries designed for Python Python projects, right? And when it comes to VS Code, so VS Code is a lightweight but powerful code editor. See, this supports not only Python as well as other programming language as well. So the beauty of VS Code is it is fast and highly customizable, right? So suppose let's say I'm working on a web development project. It is not required for me to use for HTML one editor, for CSS one editor, for Python one editor. Within this VS Code, I can develop everything. But the only one thing is this VS Code is supporting Python with the help of few extensions. And when it comes to data science task, right, or machine learning, right, the most important thing or the most amazing thing is we can use Jupyter notebooks within VS Code, right? It is not required for you to use Jupyter. So by default, VS Code supports Jupyter Notebook, right? So that is the biggest advantage. I'm going to use this VS Code going ahead in my upcoming tutorials or episodes. Fine. So again, next there is something called as Spider. So it is also an IDE primarily used for data science and scientific computing tasks. So it comes with a lot of built-in tools for data visualization as well as debugging. The specialty of this Spider is I can execute this programs line by line. Okay, line by line. I can get the output for each and every line, right? So that is a specialty of this Spider editor. Fine, but I think VS Code is one of the best editor so far I have used, right? And there is something called as IDLE, Integrated Development Learning Environment. So what is this IDLE? See, IDLE is a Python's built-in IDE. It is installed automatically with Python. See, it's also lightweight as well as it is having some simple design, right? So it's very best for beginners, but it is not suitable for the large projects. It is only suitable for the small projects, some projects which is used for like learning purpose, right? So when it comes to this IDE, right, let me just write some few features uh, which is included here. Okay, so it is also having the Python shell, like similar to integrated terminal but not completely as a terminal, as well as definitely it is a editor, so it will be having editor, right? And again it is also having a debugger. The only one of the biggest disadvantage here is if I'm writing multiple lines of code, um, I cannot go back. For example, if I'm executing 2 lines of code, if I'm getting some output, but I cannot erase this thing. So I'll show you practically. You'll be getting some idea. So the main intention of this ideal is for learning purpose. Fine. So I'm gonna show you how the ideally looks. Later on, I'll show you how to install VS Code as well. So in order to uh, open the IDLE, just click on the Windows icon. Simply just IDLE, you can just see here, just open this. It opens here. Okay, so yeah, so we are going to write a first Python program here. So always in respect of the programming language, the first code written is print hello world. Right, so this is the first Python program, and congrats, you have written a first Python program. Fine, so we got an output as well. So what is so special about this IDLE? Suppose I might be writing the same print hello world, but observe here. But without quotations. If I enter here, I'll be getting error, syntax error, right? So if I want to erase this part of code, right, it is not possible. Why? Because since I told this ideally is meant for learning purpose, so by seeing the previous mistakes, we can start learning. So that is the main intention of this ideally shell, right? So yeah, so let's move on to downloading VS Code, Visual Studio Code, right? So the official website of VS Code is simply just type, open any browser, simply just type download VS Code for Windows or respective operating system. Just click on this link and just click on this download icon button. So based upon your operating system, you can just select the installer. So once I click on this button, it starts downloading. So yeah, it is asking the path for me. You can just see I have downloaded a few of the versions of VS Code. Anyways, I'll download here. So you can see it is downloading. It is almost like 100 MB. Fine, I'm gonna cancel this because it is already available. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just open my VS Code. It is I can just tell it is available here. So I'm gonna show you this code. I'm gonna open a new window. You can still be getting this type of window, right? So this is how your new VS Code looks. Fine. So I'm gonna create a new file. So observe carefully. I'm gonna click here, click on new file, click new file. So by default, it is asking me text file. You can see Jupyter Notebook, right? So what I want is I want to create a Python file. So very important thing, the extension of Python file is .py. So for example, if I'm creating a PDF document, the extension of PDF document is .pdf. For image, it is JPG, PNG, these things. For MP3, it is .mp3. MP4, it is MP4. Similarly, for Python file, it is .py. So why it is .py? Test. Okay, let me just write test.py. So until unless you're not writing this or giving this extension, your system will not recognize this file as a Python file, right? So make sure that you're giving .py, small lowercase, okay, .py. So what I'm going to do, I'm moving to the VS Code. I'm gonna click on this icon, new file. Again, I'm gonna type test.py, right? Enter, simply enter. It is going to ask this thing, okay? So I'm gonna just tell all files. Fine, create this file. It is going to replace this something. So you can just see test.py. So if I just click on this button, right? So by default, if you're new for VS Code, right, you'll be getting this prompt. Do you want to install the recommended Python extension from Microsoft for Python language? So if you fail to install this installation, you'll not be able to execute the Python program, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to install it. Sir, where will be getting this installation or the extension? Just move on to this extension and just simply just search. I'm gonna remove this thing. Simply just search Python, right, and enter. So you can just see the official extension from Microsoft. So this is the extension. So I'm gonna go here to test.py. I'm gonna close this, not required. Okay, I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna close this as well. So I'm gonna write the first Python program. I mean, in the IDE, print hello world. So make sure you save the file, okay? Make sure you save the file. I saved it. So once you save the file, you'll be having this run play button. So if you just click on this run Python file, it is executing the Python file, so that I'll be getting the output, right? So this is one way of executing Python through VS Code. There is one more way, okay? So what I can tell, just click on this and click on the terminal, click on the new terminal. So I don't want the PowerShell, I want command prompt, right? So here I'm gonna search for this file test.py, right? So am I having the test.py? Yes, I'm having test.py. I'm gonna clear this. Fine. So here, so observe carefully. So observe very carefully. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to execute the Python file from the terminal. So the very important thing, the first thing you have to enter is Python space, the file name. So what is the file name? Test.py. You have to give the file name with the extension .py, enter. So I'll be getting the output. So this is what I told. You can access Python from your terminal, right? So there is one more way. Simply just type py space test dot py. It's fine. Fine. There is error. Okay. So I told, right, if in case if your Python is not installed properly, you'll be getting this error. Py is not recognized as an internal command. Fine. So at least one of the approaches is working, right? That is more than sufficient, right? So I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna write the two approaches. Okay. So right. So there's a one approach, like create a Python file with the code, save the file, install the Python extension only once. Okay. Only once. If you install VS Code only for the first time, you have to just install the Python extension. So not every time. And then save the file, click on the run button or play button. Right. So there is one more way. Executing use from the terminal. So how do you execute from terminal? First thing, Python space, you have to just give the path of the file. So since the file is located in the same directory, I'm gonna just enter the file name. If in case if it is other directory, you have to give the complete path of the file. Fine. So I'm going to give the complete path of the file. I can just write complete path. Make sure you're writing the extension, giving the extension as well. Right. So this is one more way of executing Python program. There is only two ways. Okay. And again, if you wanted to use Python directly from the terminal, as I told, right, you can just open the terminal. Simply just type Python. Right. You'll be getting the Python in the terminal. So this is the interactive mode of Python. Just type print hello world or something like this. I'll be getting 4. So something like this. Okay. So I can just write the Python program in the interactive mode as well. Fine. But not in real time. In order to do some small task, you can just use interactive mode for learning purpose. Okay. Let me just close the terminal. Next. So there are other than this traditional IDE, as well as ideally we are having other platforms as well. Right. Fine. So other platforms as well, like Jupyter Notebook. Fine. There are something like a Jupyter Notebook. So as I told, yeah, let me just show you an example for Jupyter Notebook, how to create a Jupyter Notebook in VS Code. Fine. So here very simple. Just click on this and click on this file and new file. Make sure new file and just simply tell click on this Jupyter Notebook, right? So we'll be getting a new file with some name untitled.ipynb. So the extension of the notebook file is .ipynb. The Python extension is .py. For notebook, this is the extension, right? So I'm gonna copy the same code. Paste it here. Fine. So if I execute this, right, do you think I'll be getting output or error? Let me see. So it is asking something. It is prompting me to give the Python environment. Fine. I'm going to select Python environment. I'm going to select Python this global environment. So if I execute this, right, if I click now, I'll be getting the output. I'm going to restart the kernel. I'm going to clear all the outputs. Let me just execute. I'm getting the output. See what is the speciality of this Jupyter Notebook. I'm gonna write here. Okay, I'm gonna write the advantages of this Jupyter Notebook. See, this Jupyter Notebooks are open source web application kind of thing. This allows you to create and share documents that contain live code, equations, and even visualization as well, right? So it is almost similar to HTML, right? So they are widely used in data science task, data science people, as well as people who are doing machine learning, model building, as well as people who are doing research. So most of the time, most of the cases, these people they'll be using in development or like web development, least case they'll be using. Okay, fine. So I'm gonna write the benefits of using Jupyter, right? Fine. So very important, or first thing is it is interactive. You can run the code cells interactively and visualize the output inline, right? So suppose I'm having a code, I'm having this code, I'll be getting the output here itself. I'm having one more line, I can get output here itself. So imagine this is a cell, this is the output. Fine, this is a new cell, this is the code, this is the output. So I can get the output inline. Fine, it is so interactive. So what about the visualization? I can create a visualization here itself, right? So if I write the code, I can get the output here itself along with the visualization, like creating a plots, bar plot, chart, different type of charts as well, right? So it is data science friendly. So it is ideally working, ideally used for working in data science domain, as I told previously, right? So suppose if I'm creating a data frame, numpy arrays, as well as some machine learning models, so lot of things, most of the times we will be using Jupyter Notebook. It is so useful and it is having lot of advantages as well, right? So again, when it comes to this normal Python, it is the file name would be something like this. Okay, when it comes to Jupyter Notebook, the file name will be same. Suppose if I'm taking same name, IPYNB. Fine. IPython notebook. Fine. This is not what IPython notebook. This is a normal Python file. So if in case if you're not having, if you want to install Jupyter Notebook dedicatedly or separately, you can just use pip install Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter. You can do just pip install as well. Right. So I'll show you what is this pip install. Pip is nothing but Python package index. Right. So this is one more way, and this is what I'll be using throughout this episodes or the course. Fine. So I can just tell we can just open these notebooks in their browser as well. Fine. So there is one more option. There is something very famous as well as frequently used, where here it is completely cloud based Jupyter Notebook, which is the service which is offered by Google, right? It is free and allows you to run Python code with the access of like very powerful computing resources like GPUs. You'll be getting some dedicated GPUs to execute. So the platform name is Google Colab. Fine. So the first thing, it is cloud based. It is having free GPU support. Third thing, it is having a lot of collaboration as well. Fine. So there is no requirement of installation, no installation needed here. Just access through the browser. The only requirement is you should be having a Google account, right? And you can train very complex machine learning algorithms here, okay, with the help of custom GPUs. And I mean, not completely custom GPUs, you can access the GPUs here. Fine, you can just share the notebooks over the internet. You can just execute parallelly. For example, if I'm having a Jupyter Notebook, two of the people are working in the same project, both of them can share same notebook and start work. So a lot of advantages are there here. Okay, the only disadvantage here is, suppose if in case if uh, the internet connection is disconnected, you have to start from beginning. You have to come to the so you have to connect to the new runtime. Again, you have to execute the code from beginning. That is the only disadvantage, right? But most of the important things for data science task, it is already having some libraries pre-installed, so no requirement of installing the libraries manually. But not all the libraries, in some scenarios it is installed, so we have to install manually as well, right? Fine. So choosing the right development environment depends upon your needs. That is, whether you're using for development as well as for data analysis, or developing machine learning project, depends upon the use case, right? So I think so each tool has its strength. You should be experimenting with all of them. You have to just choose which suits you best, and based upon the requirement as well, right? Fine. So, and one more thing I just forgot to explain. Okay, for data science, right, this is one of the famous distribution is, okay, Anaconda. See, this Anaconda is a distribution of Python that comes with pre-installed data science libraries like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, scikit-learn, TensorFlow, lot of things. So in order to download this, right, you have to just visit www.anaconda.com. Same thing, like based upon your operating system, you have to just install your respective Anaconda distribution. It is open source. Anaconda means it is open source, and you'll be having default Jupyter Notebook. You can just use Jupyter Notebook, Spider, IDE. These things are pre-installed, right? So this is mostly preferred in data science field, right? So in next episode, we will dive, or we'll look into Python basics, including writing functions or data types, understanding basics of Python or programming concepts, right? So I hope in this video you have learned a lot of basic things when it comes to development, which environment you have to choose when it comes to data science, what type of setup you have to do. But let me just tell you one thing. It is, don't think the setup or the environment is different. As a developer or as a data scientist, you should be aware of everything, right? So thank you for joining me on this episode on Python for AI series. If you found this helpful, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any updates. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment below. Until next time, happy coding.